This is Fast in the Chambers and you're watching Max Boxing. Oh yeah. Hold on.
We've seen a couple of your interviews with the ring girls, the Matchroom ring girls. I was going to ask you a question, it might get you in trouble with the girls. If you had to pick one, would it be Sara Beverley or Hannah Elizabeth? And you can't say both. I'm going to get you in trouble here, so I feel bad even asking.
Not going to answer it.
Both.
Not going to answer it. One of them will kick off about it, so I'm not going to answer that one.
Right. And I'm sure a lot of the kind of the men out there respond well to the videos you put out with Sara and Hannah. Have you ever actually been on, I think I saw on Twitter the other day, one of them had propositioned you and said, come on a night out in Liverpool or something. Have you ever actually been on a night out with those girls after a show?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Yeah.
Plenty of times. And away from boxing as well, many times.
And have they ever ended up in any pillow fights in hotel rooms?
No, that's a myth. That's a myth. No, listen, they're good girls, to be honest. Like I said, they're there as part of their job, part of what they do. Shouldn't get that confused with anything else whatsoever. And, you know, a lot of the stuff is the same. People take it for what they are. Like I said, I regard them as friends, Hannah and Sara. Like, I knew Hannah before she was a ring girl. Yeah. Actually, I knew them both before they were ring girls. About a year before they were walking the rings of Matchroom shows, I knew them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but they're good girls.
Yeah, they do both come across as lovely girls on the interviews. Literally two more questions now, Coog. Wenger in or Wenger out? Or is this a can of worms that I can't open?
Do you know what? I'm such a Wenger person that he's like a cheating girlfriend that I just love so much. And I'm like, you've done it again. You've done it again. You've done it again.
You keep giving him another chance.
I still keep taking him back, or taking her back. Do you know what? It's frustrating. I talk about football more than I talk about boxing, like with my friends, to a certain degree, actually. I've had a season ticket at Arsenal since 1995. So my first season, I was going to that before that, but odd games. I was 14 in 1995. And my first season ticket was when Bruce Rioch took charge of Arsenal. Was there for one season, finished 5th in the league, got into the UEFA Cup as it was known back then, signed Dennis Bergkamp and David Platt. It was great considering that we'd had a couple of stale seasons where we'd come like mid-table, and I think we'd won the Cup Winners' Cup in '93.
Was that under George Graham? Or was that before?
George Graham. 94, sorry. 94 we won the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah.
95 we got to the final and lost to Real Zaragoza.
Yep.
95, Bruce Rioch's first season at Arsenal. The 95-96 season, he was only there one season, and that's when I got my first season ticket, and I've been going since then. So yeah, it's like back of nearly 19 years or whatever. And Wenger joined the season after that, midway, like about 3 months into the season, he joined into that. And I was like, no one had a clue who he was. But within his first full season at Arsenal, won him the title in 97-98. And since then, 2 more league titles, 2001, 2002, 2003, 4 FA Cups, 2005, FA Cup win over Man United after being outplayed for 120 minutes. They nicked it on penalties, brilliant.
I was there.
And since 2005, what's happened? No league title in 10 years, no trophy in 9 years. They've only reached 1 Carling Cup final, which they lost to Birmingham. So
there was the Champions League final, but obviously that was...
There was the Champions League final.
06 or 07? I can't remember. That was still a while ago.
06. I think that was the final year at Highbury.
Right. I remember Thierry Henry was still with you.
I think it was 06, 07 or 05, 06. Yeah, obviously, yeah, sorry. We did reach the Champions League final.
But still, several years ago.
Yeah, several years, nothing. And, you know, I mean, you compare it to a club like Chelsea who have just changed managers at will over the last sort of 10 years. And I can understand Arsenal fans thinking, especially like the new generation of Arsenal fans, where I'm in sort of a crossover, where I'm like 32 now, so I'm like the new, but also know about the old. And like, there's some Arsenal fans who are sort of younger, be thinking, like, if you're like 20, 21,
You've actually never. You've only seen him win when you were very young.
you haven't really seen, like I said, like I was alive when we won a championship, like Michael Thomas and all that. But I don't remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the stuff that I've been going to more, you know. And but I can understand Arsenal fans being really frustrated with what's going on, because we're supposed to be one of the top clubs in England, and you can't really say we're a top club in England where we haven't won a league title in 10 years and we haven't won a single trophy in 9 years. It's not good enough. So when people sort of get frustrated by Wenger, I get frustrated by Wenger because of the activity in the transfer market, because every season we get to a certain point and we're sort of there and thereabouts, even top of the league, and you think to yourself, like January Arsenal were top, and I just think to myself, just go and buy what we need. Absolutely. It's blatantly obvious what Arsenal need in that team sometimes, and it's not specific to this season, this has been going on for the last few years. Go out and strengthen now. We're going to get injuries. Arsenal absolutely crucified with injuries. It's not a new thing, you know, I'm not moaning about it, but that's how it was. And go out and do what you got to do. You know, he spent the whole summer first on Higuain, then the whole Suarez thing, which turned out to be embarrassing on our behalf. You know, with the thing. So he identified that he needed a new striker. Spent the whole summer, didn't get no one. There was talk of Demba Ba coming on the last day of the season. Allegedly, Mourinho said that he wasn't going to let Demba Ba go to a rival or whatever. That passed, okay. Got Giroud. That's it. That is it. Forget Nicolas Bentner, who I don't even know where he is. Yaya Sanoga, the young French African, it's too raw to be thrusting him into games where we need to score goals. Wenger could get lucky, and you know, he could have had a run where he's banging in goals and blah blah blah. But it's a gamble. He's a young up and coming player that needs. He's not like a number 2 striker, which is what he is at the club at the minute. You know, he should be like a 4 or 5, number 4 or 5 striker really. And you bed these players in and bring them on here and there and get their confidence levels up and then put them in games after that. But he's suddenly now, when Giroud has needs to be rested, he's playing, and it's like he's improved as the last couple of games. But we need results now. We haven't got like a half a season for these players to bed in lovely. We need them players now. So, like I said, he didn't sign anyone apart from Kim Kallstrom in the summer, in the January transfer window.
And he came with a back injury.
He came with an injury, so he missed the first 2 months. I didn't see really the need to sign Kim Kallstrom because we are overflooded with midfielders, and the priority shouldn't have been a midfielder. I know I was talking about Julian Draxler coming there, but the priority was with a centre forward, which has been all season. Giroud gets a lot of stick. If people generally think Giroud's a bad player, they haven't got a clue about football, because even Arsenal fans, like, Giroud is a very good player, but he's had to play the whole season on his own. What do you think would have happened if Liverpool had played Sturridge on his own up front for 60 games in a season? You look how good Sturridge is then, because it's not easy. Or if Man City had played, say, Negredo, let's say Aguero, because there's a few top-level players there that possibly would be able to carry you through a season like RVP done for Man United last year, and he'd done for us the season before that.
Yeah.
But I'd say that Giroud would be on a similar level to someone like, people might think I'm mad here, but someone like Negredo, who has gone off the boil a little bit. But can you see Negredo playing 60 games in a season for Man City?
Yeah.
So forget about Zeko, Aguero, take them out of the team. If the pressure was on him to do for 60 games in a season, what would he be then? Does it mean he's a bad player because he's not scoring every game? No. Listen, I really rate Giroud, and he is a bit frustrating at times, again, but technically very good. Holds the ball up well, can finish. Sometimes he's not as deadly and as accurate as one hopes, but he can finish. He lacks a bit of pace. Very good in the air, but I like him. But he needs he needs something up there with him. That's Wenger. But Wenger in. I'm not going to say Wenger out.
No, I knew that question would maybe open up a can of worms, because obviously Arsenal fans, it's a very passionate subject when it comes to discussing Wenger, and it does polarise some fans. But I'm a similar era to you. I'm a United fan, but I was brought up just before United became successful. So I started going to Old Trafford the late 80s. And obviously the interesting scenario now with David Moyes and stuff, all I would say to you is Wenger. If you'd have said Wenger out, I'd have said be careful what you wish for, because you could end up with David Moyes.
I can't pick. Listen, there's managers out there. Listen, the board are not idiots. People have got their things about the board and etc. etc. But Arsenal is a very, very well-run club. Financially, the general way that clubs run is very well. Is very well. So if they were to, if Wenger, they're not going to sack Wenger. Wenger would have to think that he can't push the club any more forward. If that was to happen, then, like I said, they're not idiots. They'd bring in someone that they thought was suitable to carry on with torch. But if it did happen, I think Arsenal fans would be again in a slight reality check with it, because as what's happened at United with David. Now listen, I wouldn't knock David Moyes.
No,
but
I was joking then. But yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't knock David Moyes, because again, he's come from Everton to Manchester United, right? It's not Guardiola coming down from Barca or Munich or whatever to No, he needs time to adapt. Absolutely. But the problem is with this is that Man United have pretty much dominated English football for the since the Premier League started. And United fans, like Arsenal fans were for a little while, are accustomed to winning league titles. I'm talking like 10 years ago, because we won 3 league titles in 6 years, so I'm using that as an example. Man United fans are used to winning league titles, playing Champions League football, attracting the best players in the world. Now, next season, again, it will be more of a reality check for Man United fans, where there's no Champions League football, you're not champions. You might struggle to attract the best players without the lure of, especially the Champions League thing. We're going to have that problem soon, because again, people talk about the top 4 thing. It's not a trophy. Yes, we know it's not a trophy, but ultimately, next season, if Arsenal finish 5th this year, which is still a possibility, they've still got 4 games, Everton are right there. If they come 5th and win the FA Cup, which is what I was having a conversation with my friend the other day about this, he'd rather see us win the FA Cup than come 4th. It'll be a reality check, because something we've been used to for a long time, qualified for the Champions League, whether we're going to win it or not is irrelevant for what I'm talking about. Just because people don't think we've got a realistic chance of winning it doesn't mean we don't want to be in it. That's like saying we don't think we're going to win the league, so we won't go for the league. We'll just sit around 5th or 6th, But if we're not in the Champions League next season, it will hit Arsenal fans like an absolute ton of bricks. Yes, lovely, FA Cup, Try and sign Mesut Ozil on the back of an FA Cup.
Yeah.
All right, Mesut, come to Arsenal. Are you playing Champions League football? No, but we won the FA Cup last year. Oh, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's Ozil's attitude. I'm using him as an example because it was the high-profile signing we made. But Champions League football is like, again, we've qualified for it for so long. If it doesn't happen next year, I do think that that's not a good thing for Arsenal. But hopefully they'll take both FA Cup and the 4th place will be a semi-successful season.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously, because as I said before, I was going to Old Trafford before the kind of the era of dominance under Fergie. That I think the slightly older demographic of United fans are a bit more patient with Moyes. I mean, I joked about him before, but I'm probably in the minority of people that would say, give him another year. You know, let's see how he gets on next year with the summer. But I genuinely feel that fans like that are now in the minority. Probably less than 50% would say that, but it's a lot of the younger demographic, the people on Twitter that are giving it, you know, the hashtag Moyes out. That's generally where it's coming from.
You've got to give Moyes a second season. It'd be ludicrous to.
But like you used the example of Chelsea. I mean, we're in the current climate with managers where it's a bit of a merry-go-round, isn't it? I mean,
it is a merry-go-round, but don't forget,
it lacks patience.
The last manager before you was the longest-serving manager in the Premier League at the time, and you can't go from having in my opinion, a manager as great as Alex Ferguson, successful as Alex Ferguson, to then trying it out with one manager, it not working out in the season, and then you're thinking, well, we've got to try something else. Chelsea's a bit different because Chelsea have had a history of chopping and changing managers, and listen, Mourinho might be here to stay for a while, Mourinho might be gone in a couple of years, even if Chelsea win the title this year, and you don't know with Mourinho what's going to happen with him, but I just think they've got to give Moyes at least another season there. But it is like, again, it's what you're used to as a fan, and suddenly now next season Man United are going to be likely to be playing Europa League football, and again it's like a reality check, and like hitting you with a ton of bricks. It's like, I'm dreading it if Arsenal don't qualify and having to play in a UEFA Cup position.
Maybe we'll play each other in the final, couldn't we, next year? If that's
Thursday
the case. Thursday nights, Channel 5.
Well,
I'll tell you what, though, I always say this to any Arsenal fans that I meet. I respect the club. You know, it's one of those clubs that's retained a little bit of its romance in this kind of era of super brands in football, and your Cities and Chelseas, and, you know, basically buying trophies, essentially, if you break it down. I think Arsenal is one of the clubs like United that have done things the right way, tried to play football the right way as well. But anyway, I'm obviously biased, and I'm gonna sing the praises of our clubs. But yeah, I've got a sympathy for Arsenal and their fans as well. I understand why they get frustrated with Wenger, but you know, he has been a great manager. It's
not easy. Like I said, Wenger's either the best thing in the world, or, like I said, it's Wenger out. It's very few people like that sort of. I do see it on both sides.
Yeah,
I do see it from both sides, but ultimately, I just think to myself, who would come in? There ain't a manager in the Premier League that can manage Arsenal, in my opinion. Like, unless you're talking about someone like Mourinho, who's already at Chelsea. There isn't another manager that I'd go, do you know what, I'd have him. Brendan Rodgers is a good manager, but don't forget, Liverpool's surge in this title race hasn't been expected. There's no way Liverpool fans realistically thought at the start of the season they would be in this position now. They probably didn't think they was going to be in this position at Christmas. They've absolutely put a run together. They're blowing teams away, and they're winning the big games, and they're rightly so, because they're such a threat going forward, and they're pulling out, like I said, big results. They deserve to be where they are, and I think that they're going to do that. I think they're going to, 4 games to go, I think that they're going to pick this title, but realistically, at the start of the season, you wouldn't have tipped Liverpool, or Liverpool fans wouldn't have thought realistically we're going to win the league this season. And look what's happened, or look what could happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'll just end on one thing, Kugan. Really enjoyed the interview and thankful for the time. We mentioned before about the acting. Obviously, you've been in a few films. Is there any of the films that did well, or is there any that you would recommend to viewers to watch?
No, don't watch any of them. Don't go onto my IMDb. Don't watch any of them. I did a film called Risen once.
Yeah.
It was about boxer Howard Winston from Merthyr Tydfil. And I refereed a fight between Howard Winston, who was played by an actor called Stuart Brennan, and Eric Morales. So it was actually Eric Morales who was playing the character of this boxer from years ago.
Right.
So I was in this film. I went up to Merthyr Tydfil. That's why when I speak to people like Kerry Hope, I'm like, yeah, I've been there. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I've been there. I was on a film.
Yeah. Worth a watch?
It's not a bad film. I've got a little cameo in it, really. But, no, there isn't. Killer Bitch with Alex Reid. Definitely don't watch that. It's my friend that made that, actually, so sorry, Liam. Kung Fu Flid. Don't watch that.
Right.
Big Fat Gypsy Gangster, actually, is probably the best one.
Okay.
Me and James are both in that, so people might want to
Have a look at that one.
have a look at that one. It's quite funny, actually. Ricky Grover, the comedian's film. It's got loads of cameos from all different people in there.
Quality. Right, I'll have to maybe have a look at that one.
Oh, The Hooligan Factory.
Right.
Which is out, actually. The Hooligan Factory is a spoof film about...
Football hooligans.
Yeah, a mock film, like a spoof film of all the different hooligan football films.
Right.
And it stars friends of mine. It was made by a friend of mine called Nick Nevin and Jason Mazza, and it's out in June, I believe. It's called The Hooligan Factory, and I've got a little cameo in that.
I'll say hooligan for which team?
I'm like the head of the Arsenal fan.
Right, okay.
Only one scene, but I haven't seen it yet, actually.
Right.
So yeah, look out for that, actually, The Hooligan Factory.
Right, will do. Well, again, thanks for your time today, Kugan. Really enjoyed it.
No problem.
It's been very insightful, and obviously all the best with IFL TV. We hope to see many more of your videos.
Lovely, Jonathan. Thanks for your time.
Lovely. Cheers, Kugan.
Lovely.